you do not expect the Lord to come at the time that you want Him to come. Rather, you be prepared and be ready to welcome the Lord whenever He comes. Stay awake, for you never know the hour. May the peace and joy of Christ be with you today. Today we have one of the three parables in the eschatological discourse that is found in St. Matthew's Gospel, the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 of them are considered to be wise and the other 5 foolish, and we know the details in the parable. The first Christian communities, the first generation of the followers of Christ, were expecting the return of Jesus imminently in their own time, as they were waiting, eagerly waiting, engaging themselves in the values of the gospel. But they began to lose their hope because the Lord was delaying. And so they lost their hope and they began to go away from practicing the virtues and the values of the gospel. And that's where the placing of this parable in the Gospel of Matthew brings them hope. The parable comes to tell them that though the return of the Lord may be delayed, the Lord would definitely come. The Lord will return. It was the practice of the Jewish tradition to wait for the bridegroom. The virgins would wait for the bridegroom with the lighted lamps. But they never knew the exact hour or the time. But they would know around this time He would come. So they would wait, but well prepared, keeping their lamps and enough oil. And that's why we call them wise and foolish virgins. The wise virgins they were well prepared and they foresaw the delay of the bridegroom. Whereas the foolish did not, but they were not well prepared. First lesson is this, that you do not expect the Lord to come at the time that you want Him to come. Rather, you be prepared and be ready to welcome the Lord whenever He comes. The second is oil on the lamp. Now, some of us will be wondering, why did the wise person, though they were wise, deny the request of the foolish for the oil? And they sent them to the merchants. And why does the gospel celebrate them as wise? And why did the bridegroom open door for them, though they failed to be compassionate or considerate to their fellow beings or the virgins who are part of their group? Now, what does the oil here refer to? The basic Christian community and the first followers of Jesus, as they were expecting the return of the Lord, engaged themselves or prepared themselves by engaging themselves in good works of mercy and compassion and love and charity. And that's how they prepared themselves. That is the oil and the lamp that they would have to welcome the Lord in His return. Now, can you borrow the good works from the others? Can you borrow the virtues from the others? You prepare yourselves with your own works of mercy, with your own work of love and compassion, by being loving and compassionate and considerate and forgiving to the others, and by helping the needy. And that's why we have in Matthew chapter 25, the last judgment, Jesus is asking the kind of questions where you will have to be responsible and accountable for your own work. Feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, visiting those who are in need, in prison and strangers. Do the work of mercy and have your own lamp lit with the oil earned by your own self. My dear friend, have you got sufficient oil to keep your lamp lit in order to welcome the Lord whenever He comes? May the love of Christ redeem us. Amen.